and Becky and the job that they did. I know Mark was extremely happy about that, and obviously a really cool thing for the state and the city. So congratulations on their championship and continued success. Hope they enjoy all that's coming to them. So they've earned it. We're knee deep into Tennessee. This is obviously it's a team that we're getting familiar with. It's not a team that we've played that many times recently, but certainly have a very specific style that they like to play with. Very physical, aggressive. Try to get control of the game, which they oftentimes do. Very good in close games last year. Had a bunch of games decided by 3 points or less, and we're very successful in all of those. So they can win the tight ones at the end. They play very good situational football. Very good running game. Obviously, that goes without saying. But Derek Henry, any superlative you want to use for him would be accurate. Obviously durable. Big, physical, fast. He's just going to have the ball, more than any other player on their team, obviously, and need to do a good job of trying to contain him. It's very difficult to stop him, but and then defensively they play very physical, change their coverages, give you a lot of different looks in the secondary. Got really good safeties that do a good job of disguising the coverages. I'd say that Bayard and Simmons are two of the very best players that we're going to see all year on any team. Defensively, do a great job of getting the football, and then they present a lot of challenges in the kicking game. The young punter has got a huge leg. Young returners already made a couple splash plays in the return game. It's probably the best field goal rush team we're going to see, or certainly we've seen so far. Do a great job. Autry's blocked more kicks than any other player in the last 6 or 8 years. So a lot of things they do well. Obviously, they earned the recognition they got last year in terms of the AFC and where they ranked and qualifying for the playoffs, those kind of things. And I've played there before. It's a tough place to play. It'll be loud, so it'll be another big challenge for us.
Josh, you guys added a tackle from New England.
Yeah.
What was the thought process behind that? And does he come in here and potentially compete for a starting job?
Justin Haran is a guy that I'm familiar with. Just an opportunity that presented. Dave talks to a number of people obviously, and was just presented to us in the last 24 hours or so. And a guy that we have some familiarity with. Has played tackle in games, plenty of games, and so has some versatility. Young player that's continuing to develop. So. It's a position obviously that's important to every team in the National Football League, and if you feel like you can upgrade your depth, at that position, it's one of those ones where you got to think about it. So we'll just let him come in here and compete, and acclimate to what we're doing, and then see where it goes. But no expectations other than just adding a player that we are familiar with, that feel like has some upside, and looking forward to develop him.
You guys continued the rotation at tackle. Is that something that you see maybe indefinitely, if need be, or is there a point where you feel like, okay, somebody sort of solidify themselves as the guy at that position or the other?
If it's clear that it's definitely better to go one way or the other, then I think you would do that. I think that sometimes when you say that there's like this imaginary date at the end of training camp where you have to stop everything and say, hey, we're done competing, I think you do yourself a disservice, and you do some of the players a disservice, because we still compete in practice. We're still competing to earn the opportunity to go out there and play winning football for our team. So I think all those guys that have rolled in there have certainly earned it. It wasn't just given to them, and we'll continue to evaluate that and stress the competition as we go forward.
Coach, yesterday, Coach Graham kind of came in and said, based off the little bit he knows about Mike Vrabel, he feels that the team is an extension of him. You, obviously being someone that knows him a little better, would you agree with that statement?
No question. I came into the league, and Mike ended up at the Patriots. We ended up at the same time. Our very first year was 01, and just to see him as a player, very tough-minded guy, physical, did all the little things right, very intelligent, highly intelligent player, could play the game up here just as well as he could physically, and was a huge component to those defenses back then for a number of years, and won a lot of championships. It was a big reason why, and you see that from his football team. They're always prepared. Nothing's easy. They don't concede 1 yard on defense. I don't care what play it is, what game it is. They're not going to give you anything. They want to, control and dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides. They do the same thing in a kicking game. So there's no question that the way he wants to play, you can see it. Put any game film on you want, and it's going to jump out at you. So, I'm sure he'll have them ready to go this week. He always does, and they play the way that he wants them to play.
Josh, no moral victories, we know all that, no silver linings. But after the game, players were angry, disgusted, no feeling sorry for themselves, nobody down. Matt, do you like the grit you've seen in your guys coming off 2 losses?
Yeah, and I think it's an important characteristic. There's no team that goes through an entire season and doesn't have to deal with some type of an adversity, whether that's a stretch of games, a stretch of injuries, whatever it might be. The ball bounces somebody else's way a little bit. So I think handling adversity, we've talked about that since April. You're going to have to handle it, all year long if you're going to survive and be there at the end and give yourself a chance to play your best. And so sometimes lessons are harder learned when you lose, and they're harder to swallow, but, there's still great lessons to learn. And I think the outlook that we have, the attitude that we've come in this week with, is what I would want them to have. I think they're eager to practice today. Looking forward to get out in there, getting ready to go here for Tennessee. But it's tough, but it's the right kind of mindset that we have, and I'm really excited about that.
Coach talked yesterday about Derek still learning your system, and each day it gets better. With that, does it come the aggressiveness that maybe you would like? I mean, I know a lot goes into it, whether he's protected or not, but the more he gets into it, do you expect the aggression to become more so?
Yeah, I thought he was, he took some good chances, last week and the week before. And again, I think he's just like everybody else, that the more he does this with this new group of guys around him, the more comfortable you get, doing a lot of things, and so Derek's no different, works extremely hard, super well prepared, and he learns from all the things that happen, good or bad, so, no, I'm excited about where we're going, and he's, like I said, he's kind of the leader of that group in terms of, hey, all right, this didn't go exactly the way we want it. Now we're going to get better, and we're going to be better for it this week. So he's got a great outlook and approach, and I expect him to continue to improve as we go.
Josh Jacobs has gotten a large share of the carries and even snaps, maybe more than some would expect from the outside with how many running backs you guys have. Is that a case of just what you said at other positions that he's earned those opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's done well with the chances that he's had, which doesn't surprise anybody here. And there's, the backs. A lot of times people associate the backfield with just carries, and Brandon Bolden plays on every kicking unit, Amir Abdullah's out there on plenty of those too. Zamir White's doing the same thing, Depth and, on your football team doesn't have to just be at one specific spot when you take, all of it into consideration. So, Josh has been, in good condition. He's been able to stay out there. He takes care of his body. He's healthy. So runs hard, does a lot of good things. So, we got good depth and he's playing well.
Any updates on Trevon Merrick and Andre James, Denzel, and Hunter?
Nothing in terms of like where we're at relative to the expectation for the game, but I think all of them are getting better, and all of them are progressing. So hopefully we're going to turn the corner here, a few corners, hopefully, but nothing, assured yet for the game.
You guys have been asking Jonathan Abram to play a bunch of different positions, and it seems like he's handled that pretty well so far. What have you seen from him through 2 weeks?
Yeah, smart guy. We put a lot on him, and he's been able to handle the duality of the multiple roles that we've given him. A big cog in terms of the overall communication on the defense. Physical, a guy I think John has always been a guy who's willing to hit anything that moves. I think what John's learning how to do is take his aggression and also learn how to play under control so that there's less, maybe less missed tackle or a less overrun here or there, which is a sign of a guy who's maturing, and so asking him to do a lot of things. He's answering the bell and love the way he practices and competes, and looking forward to that continuing.
Josh, you hear the phrase, there's a lot of football to be played.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a sense of urgency guy immediately week one? And if they were 2-0, would you always want them playing with a sense of urgency? Or is it now a good time?
Yeah, doesn't change. Definitely, week one, every week really is the same to us. I think that's just the best way for us to approach each week. And to me, if I change that, I would basically be telling my football team that this week's more important than last week or what have you. And they're all important. Every day's important. I think it's important for us to be consistent, and try to learn from the things we haven't done well. And whether we won or lost, there's going to be a lot of lessons to learn. Nobody plays a perfect football game. That's almost impossible to think of. So, we have the same urgency that we've had. We know, what we have to do better and what we're trying to accomplish here. And it's going to take a lot of mental toughness this week, to go there on the road against a really good football team and grind it out. But that's what we're getting ready to do, to do here this week and to practice and prepare the way we need to prepare to play.
Be just as dangerous because they're 0-2 and they're just as sort of desperate for their first win.
Yeah, I think again, I don't read too much into feelings and those kind of things, because I think sometimes you can talk yourself into, oh, well, we're more desperate than somebody else, or they're more desperate than we are, or, we should all be desperate to win each week, in my opinion, and I think that's the way our team should think, and hopefully that's the way they do think, and we don't ever take the field to do anything other than win. So, we have the same urgency this week as we have.
Josh, you talked about a little bit with Derek. How comfortable is he in your system now? Small sample size, only 2 games.
Yep.
How comfortable is he, and how comfortable are you with his comfort level?
Very comfortable. It was a small thing, but, there's a play late in the game last week where, he's got tools in his toolbox that we don't use often, but he used a couple of them, back to back in critical plays, and, made changes at the line of scrimmage that were really good, and you just sit there on the sideline and go, okay, like this is, we're seeing it right in front of our eyes here. So, no, I'm very comfortable with him. He, like I said, he processes it so quickly and then can go out there and execute it. So, the thing that I think that's the biggest difference for this entire group here as we go forward is each week's a little different, and it may not be the same exact stuff that we're doing offensively, defensively, or in the kicking game that we did last week. And I think for some people, and again, I wasn't here, I haven't been where everybody else has been, so I don't really know, but I know that for some people in different systems with different coaching staffs, that's not necessarily as big of a thing. You kind of keep doing what you do and try to apply it each week to the opponent. But, sometimes we shift a little bit more than others, and I think that's the new part for all of our guys. But I think they really like it. I think they enjoy it. There's a challenge inherent in it. But Derek certainly has a great outlook on it, and I have a lot of confidence in him.
I feel like we should know that, but the W on your chest?
Oh, it's my son's high school team. Yeah, proud. They're 2-0. 2-0. So I told them we got to both get a W here at some point. So maybe it'll be good luck for us.
Yeah, they've mishandled 3 punts already this year. That seems like it's kind of independent of what the opponent does, but is there anything that you guys can do to prepare for that potential, put more pressure on that, like anything you can do in that regard?
There's nothing extra, I think. When anytime you go down, you put the ball up in the air on a punt and you get down there and cover it, I think every returner would say, there's a little bit of pressure on that, because if you do happen to drop it or muff it, there's a chance for a turnover. So he's a good returner. We had a lot of high grades on him coming out in the draft. He was a guy that, we had some interest in for sure, just in terms of like, adding depth to our football team. Is no wonder that they took him when they did, and he's already made a couple big plays. So, look, those things are, sometimes young players go through growing pains, but he's a dangerous returner. I know that, and he's hard to tackle. So our focus is going to be on trying to contain him. If for whatever reason that opportunity ever presents itself to our punt unit, you just try to capitalize on the best you can. But I don't think you can prepare as if it's always going to, take a turn your way.
Coach Justin Herron, it seemed like when he was in New England, he played a pretty equal amount on the left and right side at tackle. Did you feel like there was a spot he was better at, or was it pretty even on both sides?
No, I mean, when you're a young player and you have, some repetitions on both sides, I think that just increases your value. Swing tackles don't grow on trees, so the fact that he's played on the left, the fact that he's played on the right, the fact that he's played in some big games, I don't think that hurts his case here. So again, I just, excited to add him. He's a good person, works hard, young player. I think his best is in front of him, and just going to try to continue to develop him as a football player.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Coach.
You got it. Thanks.